Hello, everyone, and welcome to this super special edition of the Boring Enterprise Nerdletter Talk. So in this videos, Paul Moderman, my partner, and myself, Elena Perfilova, we usually talk about the stories that we're going to write about in our Boring Enterprise Nerdletter next week. But in this case, we have super special occasion. This next issue will be the 100th one, so we made it
The
after
Centennial issue.
the Centennial issue. So, and coincidentally, there are some really breaking news going on in SAP
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
So, yeah, what a time to be alive, and what a what a way to celebrate our 100th issue. So in this case, we're gonna just have like slightly different format, more like vibe video
We're gonna
in
fill it
this
out,
case.
Like, let's
Yeah, so
go.
so we'll talk about the breaking news first, and then we will just talk about kind of what 100 issues mean to us and to you, hopefully,
Yeah.
and also how all the things that honestly transpired in SAP, in IT, enterprise world.
Mm,
Because
hmm
when looking back, I was like, yeah, I mean, geez, like so much happened. And yeah, and we were ahead of time sometimes. Also, not to
Yeah.
brag,
And
but
sometimes, yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
no
And
big
sometimes,
deal.
yeah, okay. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's IT world. All right. So without further ado, I will start with breaking news if that's okay with you, Paul. All right.
Breaking news.
Extra, extra, extra. All right. So, okay. So first breaking news is there is a malware going around in that affected SAP world as well. So our dear friend of the nerds and also my esteemed colleague from Mindset, Abesh Bhattacharjee, broke this news on LinkedIn. And he shared the specific versions of NPM packages that got compromised and what you should do about this. So there is also a link to the official SAP note with mitigation. So thank you to Satish for sharing this. So if you're kind of just waking up today, definitely go ahead and read this. And I was looking, it's like, so all those, rep versus cap conversations, I'm I'm wondering, like, how is that going? So up, like, rep is not affected by this, I guess, so much.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of
There's
up has, yeah, go ahead, Paul.
there's that weird like, well, hey, if the doors are closed, then the rabble can't get in
Yes,
anyway,
exactly.
right? Like you can't escape that. Like ABAP is if there's like because we've talked to Mark Bernard who is working on this APM thing, which
Yeah,
is awesome in some ways, but also like if nobody is using that stuff yet, then there's much less chance for a thing like this to happen in ABAP land at all.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
because one from one perspective, it's technically possible. You could like you
sure,
could
yeah,
poison open source up with stuff. But like if nobody's using it productively, then I guess the poison can't spread, right?
yeah.
So that they're all you rap heads out there, you've got a feather in your cap now of like,
Yeah.
well, you know,
Another win for ABAP. Like, I feel like a little bit of Schadenfreude here, honestly. Not really Freud at all, but it's like I just can't help but notice, as an ABAP developer, stuff like this doesn't happen in ABAP. People say,
ABAP developers are like, I'm tired of all this winning. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh my goodness. All right. So and so in there is also article about this malware in general that Abesh linked. So go ahead and go read about this. Unless you work with ABAP, then this is just business as usual. All right. But
By the way, Shai Hulud is a reference to Dune. That's what
oh,
Shai Hulud
okay.
is. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm like, is this got to be like something I'm not getting?
Yeah,
Okay. All right. So
it's the name that the desert people give to the big giant worm. That's Shai
Okay.
Hulud.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now news that affects pretty much everyone, I
Yeah.
think, in SAP space. Again, if you are living under the rock or waking up from like 5 day coma at this point and haven't heard about this. So huge news broke up accidentally, as it turns out. So I
Yeah.
have I have the whole kind of chronological analysis of what happened. But in a nutshell, SAP suddenly surprised the world with update in their API use policy update. And honestly, before that, I didn't even know that such document existed, because I mean, we don't, we don't usually pay attention to this, and so I guess everyone thought that all the SAP APIs were essentially up for grabs,
Yeah.
which created, I think, many ideas that SAP looked at and was like, hold up, like we need to make sure that we wet our beak, so to speak, on this, and don't just let people use our internal knowledge for their enrichment. So I guess that's where it's mostly coming from. The problem with this update is it's kind of vague. It seems like SAP wants to put some restrictions. However, the specific language that they used, it's pretty open to interpretation at this
Yeah.
point. It's like, because it can be interpreted many ways, now all the people are jumping to interpret whatever suits them. But I do think that it doesn't make sense to jump to any conclusions, because honestly, outside of SAP, no one really knows exactly
Yeah.
what this all means, because it's just impossible to say, yes, this is this or that. So that's kind of the gist of my general advice: to wait for more specific updates from SAP, and I do hope that they also maybe can provide actually specific examples, because there are
Yeah.
definitely certain use cases like, hey, like I have my own like OData service that using BAPI. I guess that's fine, because that's just kind of my readout of the policy. However, again, the way it's written, I'm not really sure. I cannot be 100% sure that's not what they meant. So and there are a lot of, I think, valid comments about even potential if enforcement. I mean, how would you even enforce a lot of this policy if
Yeah.
it's so broad and vague? So again, more updates will be coming, but I just want to point out, there also is, so I do have all the sources in this article. I will have a link in the video. I have I have links to the document itself, policy itself. Then there is FAQ document that SAP posted, which I think is pretty useless, but go ahead and take a look at, maybe you'll find something there. And also some comments from people who actually have a clue about what's going on, like Marian Zeiss, for example, always very well informed, and
Yep.
some other people. And most important, DSEG also chimed in with their take on this, which is kind of cautious, goes along the same line, like we don't really understand where SAP is going with it. But I'm glad that DSEG jumped right at it and kind of keeping, SAP kind of like, we are watching you, SAP, and you need to
They
give us, yeah, give us clarity.
so a couple things. First of all, DSAG, like they are they are they're parked in the unmarked van outside of SAP with the binoculars like all the time.
Yeah,
Like, and they have the like the little listener thing, and they're like listening to people like at the coffee stations or whatever, like they're, and good for them, because the
yeah,
community needs that. Good for
yeah,
them.
yeah,
Um,
seriously, yeah,
the other thing is that this whole API policy thing, of course, it being like an accidental first disclosure or whatever,
yeah,
or
yeah.
the timing was, somebody put the wrong time in the CMS, the content management system,
Oh, yeah.
for when it would go live, right? So but like behind the surface of that, I I get a couple of senses. One is that like we SAP want to drop a nuke on everything somehow. Don't know why,
Mm,
but a nuke somehow. And slash or we want to announce something, and we want everybody to get out of the room, so because we want to control the room of this
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
right? My suspicion is that it's the second thing. My
Mm,
suspicion is that something will happen at Sapphire. It won't terraform the Earth,
yeah, yeah,
but it may be like something that SAP wants to be big and wants to be like no one else is allowed to play in this sandbox
yeah,
kind of thing,
yeah,
right? To the
yeah,
best of their ability, whatever they
yeah.
can do. And so this API policy may have been pointed at that. That's my gut. is that it was pointed at something like that, especially because they do directly call out and mention the generative AI stuff.
Mm,
So all of the universe out there who's doing MCP servers for ABAP and MCP servers for this and MCP servers for that, everyone's like, I can't swing a dead cat without hitting an MCP server for ABAP these days.
yeah,
Like what is to come of those things? What
yeah,
does SAP think about those things?
yeah.
Very important to answer and unknown right
Yeah,
now. You
yeah.
know?
And there was actually just one comment, yeah, in that context that I want to highlight here. So Nicholas had an interesting take here. In general, main between the lines read is that SAP AI product portfolio was broadly surpassed by even solo devs
Yeah.
creating MCPs and open sourcing them. And I think this is not far off. It's kind of
I mean,
hard way to summarize that, but I think there is definitely people at SAP who are like looking outside and they're like, yeah, we cannot have that. I do hope that, and funny enough, so first of all, like you said, timing on this is just uncanny. It's I mean it broke out because, like you said, they updated it at the wrong time. They
yeah.
meant to do that after their earnings call, where they kind of, I guess, I don't know, were planning to announce it. But again, even if they have done it later, it still would have been confusing, I think. So that wouldn't really help the
Yeah.
clarity aspect. However, Sapphire, yeah, is just a couple of weeks away. SAP always announces something at Sapphire. They have been completely silent on this. So all the SAP people, they just keep posting like business as usual, like talking about their AI stuff. They're definitely sitting on something that's going to be announced. It's just what is it exactly? I'm not quite sure. Um, we talked about it, I think, last time in our similar video about how the executive board of SAP is like lacking in technical talent,
Yeah.
essentially.
Seems
It's
like it.
because like Hasso himself was started as a technical person, essentially, and then became more like a business one, while
Hmm.
I don't think he kind of completely left out his technical roots like ever, because like once you do it, never.
No.
But current generation of SAP leadership, I think they're competent enough, but they're not Hasso-Plattner. That's kind of, I think, the
Yeah.
short
It just
short way
doesn't
to
it
put
just
it.
doesn't have that feeling of like
Yeah,
we're like we are leading engineers to
yeah,
make new things.
yeah,
It is just honestly it just has felt like a long time since SAP has made something,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know? I
yeah,
mean, you could like don't get me wrong, nobody go on the hater parade for me for like leaving out things like UI5 and things like that. There are like there are some pieces here that have been really good over the last decade or so that are still like really cool stuff. But like for as far as SAP making a really impactful, amazing thing, it has kind of felt like it's been a while, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's not just with SAP. We've seen it with other companies where
Yeah.
companies that SAP is a tech company, and there are companies like, I don't know, like a shoe company, for example, and they like shoes are their thing, and if you have like the whole board that like doesn't know anything about shoes essentially, or production, doesn't have any background in shoe manufacturing or passion about it, it usually doesn't really turn out well, because running a business is definitely a profession, but you also need someone there in the leadership who is about the actual like product and your industry, and kind of less business, more like having passion and knowledge, some kind of expertise. But I'm looking at like current people in charge, and like honestly, first of all, we barely know them. There have been game of musical chairs going on for a while.
Yeah.
They hired some people who are so currently, and again, I don't mean to kind of throw shade on the SAP executive board, but 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 but
But
they
but
but they have
come here,
like
come here, come here. Shh, come
they have like
here.
people like MBAs and like very academic guys. And
Yeah.
I have all the respect for their like academical prowess and like whatever, research they have done. They're really smart people, but they're not our people. There
Yeah.
there isn't like there really hardly like any. Is there like former SAP consultants there? like like who are these people? Because for example, I again I don't hide my huge kind of fandom of Bjorn Görke, former SAP CTO or
Hmm.
CIO. And but he was a consultant. He started as a consultant. He worked his way through, and it's like an army general who sat at the desk like the whole
Yeah.
time, went to academy, and then went to work for another general. But that's essentially that's current SAP leadership. So I don't know. I'm kind of a little I'm a little bit worried there about that part.
It
So
doesn't like you kind of want a mad scientist in there somewhere,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
exactly.
It doesn't feel
Yeah,
like there's a mad scientist. It feels like
yeah,
there's people who look at quarterly sales numbers and like dream about ways to like make those numbers go up by a point, but like
yeah,
scorch the earth sometimes, you
yeah,
know? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, um,
All right.
okay.
So that's breaking news.
So yeah, so onto the things that and so this time around, what I'm going to do is because we have the 100th issue extravaganza sale happening right now. Come on down, free Substacks for everybody. Is like I we've got some retrospective kind of stuff for over the years, and I of course I used AI to prompt some things into being, but I've also got some like some a past issue or two with some things that we look at. So I think what we can do is like I'll show some of this like this thing I made that can kind of look at a little bit of the history and
Yeah.
stuff. But then we can also go look at we should look at our first issue, and we should
Oh, for
like
sure. Yeah.
we should
Yeah.
correct our hot takes from the first issue, right? Okay,
Oh boy.
so here we go. I'm going to share the screen here. So what this is, I used OpenAI Codex to make this. I think Claude Code would have done it too. I just wanted to try Codex a little bit more. I've been a little bit lax in trying Codex for things. Um, this is a word cloud uh, based on the contents of all, in this case, 99 of the issues before this one, of all the things that you and I have said
Mm.
in the nerd letter, and just picking out the most popular words and or topics, right? And so a couple things you can look at both of us through all the years. You can pick a particular year to look at, and you can also like turn up or turn down the max number of words that the
Mm.
cloud will have, right?
Oh, cool.
But I actually think the small cloud is a little bit more instructive. There's a little bit less noise there, and a little bit like you can see some like trends kind of happen here, right? So
Yeah.
first of all, this is both of us. You and I used 11,096 unique words
Wow.
in the wow, like very smart stuff
Yeah,
here
very
going on.
rich vocabulary.
Very, Shakespeare ain't got nothing on us.
Yeah.
Uh, but then and then so this is the relatively speaking the size, and then over here on the right you can see the ranking of the usage of these terms in those 5 years 199 issues worth of stuff, right? So of course you and I mentioned SAP the most of everything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, AI came in second place actually when you count all 5 years.
Wow. Yeah.
Um, but we can
Surpassed
actually,
ABAP. Wow.
yeah, we can actually turn the clock back though, right? So if we go back to 2021, SAP and ABAP are the number one things, right?
Yeah.
But AI is like way down the list,
Yeah.
right? Um, and then I think you can kind of watch AI kind of
Yeah.
settle in here for a year or two and then climb up the
It's
list.
like
You know what I
one of
mean?
those browser market share
Yeah,
like
yeah,
drawbacks,
exactly.
where you see
Um,
like some of them shrinking.
yeah, look at
So
that. Between 2022 and 2023, guess what happened? AI
oh
rocketed to the top, near the
yeah.
top of this stuff, right? And
Wow.
I think 2024, same, yep, 2024, 25, and
Yeah.
26, like it's going to be second to only to SAP, which
Yeah.
kind of makes sense because like there's SAP going on in every issue that we do, right?
Yeah.
So What you can also do is you can watch that change, or you can watch both of us talk about things, right? So if I let's for example, I can go to you
Mm.
and like you can see like the you and I share a number of these
Yeah.
topics in common, many of them, almost all of them, because like you and I both talk about people, community,
Yeah.
developers, and development like all the time in this
Yep.
stuff.
Yep.
It's a core like clearly we believe that people should be front and center of like what we talk about. But Yelena over the years, like SAP number one, of course,
Yeah.
ABAP right
Duh.
up there next to it, and then people development code, right? So
Yeah.
and then there's a tiny little boop, a little AI boop right there for Yelena. Now let's switch to Paul, and you look at the AI thing just explode
Yeah.
right up underneath SAP. Like for me, almost surpassing
Yeah.
SAP in the usage, and that goes for all the years. But I think too, even if you look at like so, but even if you look at you, and we go back to 2021, like you, at least in the top
Yeah.
20 here, you never mentioned
Like
AI,
was yeah wasn't
right?
even there.
It wasn't on your
Yeah.
radar, and I don't think it even makes it in there until like maybe 2025.
Yeah.
Is kind of cracking in a little bit, and then
Yeah.
2026, of course, is it just everybody's kind of getting in that way.
Yeah. Yep.
But then if you turn the dial to Paul, like the
Paul
AI
was
thing,
ahead of times. Yeah.
well, yeah, maybe, I don't know. But like AI is like settled up in there a little bit higher to start with, right?
Yeah.
It was a little bit more of a fascination. And at that point, and we'll see this in the issue that we look at, it was still much more of a fascination than it was like a usefulness thing.
Yeah.
Like back then, there was no useful for us in the SAP world
Mm.
in the kind of AI that we typically talk about, which is the LLM ChatGPT style thing. There was no useful application of it back then, really.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, you can watch over the years, just just like just like just like our overall thing. For me, AI jumped right up to number two in 2023. Makes total sense. ChatGPT was end of 2022.
Yeah.
Makes complete sense. Everyone can see the potential of that a little bit more, right? So you can watch this little history. And even like I would argue that this word generative, of course, also applies to AI. So like
Mm.
if I was to lump them together, AI would be bigger than SAP for
Yeah.
me
Oh
in
wow.
these
Okay.
years, right? Maybe I should have done that. But then, of course, by the same token, you could probably lump ERP in with maybe in with SAP too, depending on how you count it. I mean, you and I both tend to talk a little bit about other things besides SAP in the
Yeah.
ERP realm, but
Yeah.
it's
For
usually
sure.
SAP that we're talking about. So there's things like that too. But also, if we go back to all of us, we can also look at both of us for all the years, right? So for both of us, if we go back to 2021, like
Mm.
um, BTP is kind of in there.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious about BTP
Surprisingly.
over the
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. What happened
I,
to
di-
that?
I think BTP kind of
Gone. It's like
it disappeared from our
it
discussions.
disappeared in the
At
universe.
least at least in terms of the top terms, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, see, I would definitely, I think, still write about it. It's not like we
but
completely
it's just it's
don't
just not the
mention.
top
It's
thing.
like, yeah, it's kind of became mainstream too, I think.
It
Yeah. Yeah.
became
I
it
mean,
became not cool enough for us
yeah,
to talk about.
exactly. Not, yeah, not cool for us to write
But
anymore.
also I think too, like even you think about BTP, like
Mm.
I don't think BTP has kind of cracked into like, whoa, okay, we need this like
Yeah.
stat, right?
Yeah.
It's still a little bit more of like, how do I put this? Like I don't feel like there's the killer feature yet of
Yeah.
BTP, you know?
It's like essentially what SAP forces you to do
Yeah,
to use.
it's just
It's kind of like that. Like, okay, it's like okay, we'll use your BCPs.
all right, give me my login and then make me log in again, even if I click the little thing, right? Yeah.
Oh man,
Um,
jeez,
uh,
don't even mention.
so there's that. And
Yeah,
then, but what is consistent to me, if I look at these things too, is that like developer, people,
yeah,
community pops in there
yeah.
sometimes
Yeah, I
too.
was just gonna say
Uh,
people like super super high. Like I'm honestly surprised.
like, I mean, I mean, my guess is that you probably would see something like this in general across
Yeah,
like much of human writing anyway.
yeah,
But like at least as I reflect on like the kind of things that we do, like we're pretty concerned about like community itself and people
yeah,
themselves.
yeah.
Um, I probably should have just lumped in community with people in the same term. I don't think I did that though, did I? Um,
Well, I think
or maybe I
community
did.
might refer to specifically SAP community in a lot
Oh
of our
yeah,
posts because we do borrow quite a bit from the blog posts there.
yeah.
Um, at least we did before when there was
When
something
it
to read.
when it made any sense to do that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so the other thing too is that what I also did here is like you can turn up the number of words that go into the list, right? So you start to see things now BTP starts to appear a little bit more when you do this stuff, right? I took out a lot of the words, but I did keep in some things like cool and
Hmm.
uh
Automation. Yeah,
knowledge and create, but
yeah,
I took out a lot of like the be verbs and things like that.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so you can like turn up the dial and see like some larger things. But like that by itself is kind of interesting or whatever. But what I also did was when you actually click on one of those things, you get a list of all the posts that
Ooh,
mention that thing.
nice.
And if you click on the link, it will like highlight that word in the post too.
Hmm.
Um, so you can get this, you can like kind of follow this stuff through.
I,
So
I I think for ABAP it will be pretty much every of our
yeah,
issues,
I think
maybe
it's probably
except for one maybe
it
where
doesn't
it's
show up
some
in issue
problem.
10.
I need to look into this. We need to
Yeah, I
fix
know this.
that. So
I'm like
yeah,
curious of why.
yeah.
Anything, any
Like
issue, I'm
what
curious.
happened there? Yeah.
Yeah, same thing with number 24. It didn't show up in number 24.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we gotta check. Maybe there's some bugs in our
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
my vibe coded word cloud. But the other thing too is that like I also noticed or I remembered too that so like looking at the term AI, of course, like
Hmm.
um shows up in many of the issues. Not as often as ABAP does. But as I recall, I got I got a little bit cranky with myself for talking about AI so much. And I think there were two separate like AI winters that I imposed on myself to not talk about AI or generative AI at all. So like there's like little stacks of like three or four issues
Hmm.
somewhere in the mix here where like I I wanted to but did not talk about AI because I was like people have to be sick of this now, right?
Yeah.
People have got to be sick of me talking about this shit all the time.
Yeah.
Um, regardless, there's that. So this particular thing, we'll publish this little link somewhere in our newsletter so people can. I mean, I'm sure maybe one person will actually go and do this for themselves, but you can like it took very little effort for me. Most of the effort was on the part of GPUs to like spit out the
Hmm.
code that was doing this, but we'll publish that out there so people can
I
can check
think
out the.
more people would be interested in your process to build this so that
Oh yeah,
they
I
can build their
ah
own. So here is an article subject for
I
for your
should
poll.
have. I should have kept so I have a new computer right now and
Oh,
I
okay.
used Codex on my old computer
Ooh,
and I still have to
okay.
install Codex on this one. So I'll have to maybe I'll do a video or something like that explaining how I did it. Because also not only did Codex make the page,
Hmm.
Codex scraped our backlog to
Yeah.
get
Yep.
the data for it,
Yeah.
right? So I
Yeah.
just said, here's the web page, get me all of the articles and like I want to make a word cloud eventually, so do
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
And Codex like figured it out and did it. Really cool. But what I also thought would be really cool is for us to go back to issue number one and like look at what we did in there and see what's going on, right? So
Yeah.
even in issue number one, we were using the little sign off signature here of the like who did what. That I think that made
Yeah.
a lot of sense to do that.
Yeah.
Um, but then also what I noticed too is that in issue number one, we didn't have any memes.
Yeah.
We didn't meme anything.
Yeah.
What the heck's going on?
Yeah. Well, I
Like,
mean, we didn't know our kind of audience at that point, and I guess we tried to be kind of corporate friendly because you never know how people are gonna perceive
yeah.
whatever. So kind of trying to sort of entering into the room like cautiously, trying to read it and see like, hey, hey guys, so yeah, so that's interesting. But also we used different platform at the time. It
Oh, that's true.
was
Yeah.
now defunct, whatever that called, R
Review, I think
something.
it was.
Review, yeah, review. So
Yeah.
it was owned by Twitter, and then Elon Musk shut down that
Yeah.
platform altogether. We had to move to Substack. And in that platform, newsletter looks slightly different because like
That's
that
right.
that YouTube thing, it actually used to show a picture, and I think some of the pictures got also lost in translation, in
Yeah.
migration, unfortunately. But so it's super funny. Metaverse was huge kind of news at that time, and it kind of went like poof over the
I
years.
love
Like,
this.
yeah,
Strap in, folks. This metaverse thing will be a bumpy ride. Yeah, bumpy all the way to
yeah,
hell
like
because it's
all
gone
the way
now.
to like nowhere. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um.
it's
Uh. The nice thing was that even back 5 years ago, which feels like ancient history
yeah,
to me
yeah,
somehow,
yeah,
Devtoberfest was still a thing, and I
yeah,
remain grateful for that to be a thing.
yeah,
I think that like
yeah,
call out to people who do that.
yeah.
I
Thumbs
think
up
the
for
developer
Devtoberfest.
advocates or
I think so.
whoever does
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
like like well done. There's so much to learn from there. There's always like I never get to watch as many of the things I want to watch in
yeah,
that. Um, but that's because there's so much good stuff to choose from.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so
Lots,
kudos
yeah,
to these
lots of
things.
content. Very, very, very
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Um yeah, and even back in 2021, Leonardo was already rest in peace.
yeah.
So pour one out for SAP and Leonardo, guys.
Mm.
Um
Yeah, I have
uh
to say microservices kind of also, I don't know, we went out of favor a little bit at
yeah, I haven't
least. It's
heard much
kind
about that.
yeah, say thankful. I don't know, maybe for the best. It was always like, yay, but also like, like why? So yeah, very strange vibes there. I
Yeah.
mean, they architecture have not disappeared completely. It's just I think the use cases and importance and overall usefulness was just slightly overblown.
Yeah.
That's just my
Yeah.
take.
Um, so this one happened to preserve the video too.
Mm,
It looks like the
yeah.
video is probably still there. I don't even know. I didn't try to play the video again. Um, so this one was mine about Google.
Mm,
Back then I was a GCP fanboy. Um, I still like GCP, I think. Um, but I've kind of moved on a little bit also as well. Right? I spent some
mm,
more time in Azure. I've spent some more time in AWS. Like I got a little bit broader perspective now. I've seen more of the world here. But also one of the reasons that I wrote this about was like back then at least, and this also I think has changed, is that Google was like had no cloud presence in enterprise.
mm,
No cloud presence.
mm,
And now there's quite a few enterprises using Google for a lot of different things,
mm.
both like at the hosting level, but also at the like, there's a ton of enterprises who use like BigQuery or Bigtable kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
A lot of them use that as part of their like data and analytics platform
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I think Thomas Kurian as the CEO of Google Cloud, like I think it made sense. I think they
Mm.
did a pretty good job there of like it looking back from there to now. I think he's probably earned his paycheck in this move. Well, I don't know what his paycheck is, but it's probably big, right? Um, so I love GCP. I could now probably tune this to like I I'm in like a poly thing with GCP now more than it's like a I'm in a throuple with GCP and Azure and AWS or whatever. So yeah. Yeah. Um Universal ID to become
Oh,
obligatory.
so I bet, if people are watching, some of them will be like, oh, yeah, like Universal ID. Some of them like, like that crap, because SAPX kind of has had mixed success with it. I mean,
Yeah.
it was when it started, it was supposed to be solution to so many problems, but then somehow it became the problem it was meant to
Yeah, I
solve.
know.
And it just had so
Man.
many, I don't know, difficulties and very strange communications and handling. Like I don't know. I still kind of, I don't know. Every time I had to use it to log into SAP community, I had to roll my eyes because it's not a
Yeah.
superior experience to what it used to be before, and it honestly have not really solved problems for me. I still use two different browsers, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's funny enough. It's such an old kind of old thing going on.
Yeah. This is where this issue number one is where Paul starts writing about AI here, right? So, because I like even before we started doing this, I had been like I was using earlier versions of GPT to write like Shakespeare poem parodies based on ABAP things and stuff like that. And I think I had created a couple of like parody Christmas album
Yeah.
lists of things for
Yeah.
stuff, and that worked, before it was really powerful. It still worked to do like goofy shit like that. It was not necessarily clear until GPT-3 for me that like it made sense as like, oh, I can see this becoming a developer thing.
Yeah.
Other things as well, but like a developer thing. Like this was the for me, GPT-3 was kind of the moment where like if I worked really hard, I could like make GPT-3 do program-ish things.
Mm.
Not nearly as good as no, of course, not nearly as good. But like because even back then, for me, I still had the like, I had already drunk the Kool-Aid a few years before. So I don't know where I got the Kool-Aid, but I drunk it. Um, and so like, at least for me, it has always been the mixture of like what I see in front of me, but also like watching the trend of what was in the past like pierce through what's in the now to the future
Mm.
where you can see like, oh, this was complete garbage a year ago. Now it's like some of the raccoons have come in and cleaned up some of the garbage, right?
Mm.
And you can see like if you knew how garbage it was before, you could see like the raccoons were starting to do their job and like
Yeah.
eating the trash and whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you could see like you could look past the garbage now and see even less garbage in the future of it. And that
Mm.
was how I felt at this time too. Like I was like it was still very hard to get like interesting things out of it, because it wasn't ChatGPT yet. It was just like you would put in text and it would just complete the text you put in,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so
Mm.
you had to put more effort into like dreaming up something that you wanted it to like complete.
Mm-hmm.
And if you did that, then it could like you'd like just rerun it 5 times or whatever, and you pick the best one and be like, oh, that was interesting. Even
Mm.
though under the covers there's like four garbage ones before it that were not good, you
Yeah.
know? But you could like if you believed you could see it. You know what I mean? And so that for me is what it is. I had the belief somehow, wherever it came from, that it could pierce the current and go through the future.
Yeah.
And that. And you dropped in with an editorial comment that not stupid if it works. Just saying, yeah.
Yeah. Very,
Um,
very occasionally we drop in like a commentary on, on
yeah,
another person's
we got to
story.
do that more often because that I think that works pretty good.
Yeah,
Um,
we do that kind of in video form right now
yeah, yeah.
because
Oh, yeah, I
we
suppose,
did
yeah.
not record that video back then. We
That's
started it
right.
from like issue 5, I think, or so. So
There was
yeah,
no there was no Nerdletter Talk back in
yeah,
issue 1, guys. This
yeah.
is ancient history.
Dark ages. Yes.
For all of you two people who made it this far in the video, there was no Nerdletter Talk in 5 years ago in November 10th, 2021. There was no
Yeah.
Nerdletter Talk. And then this, of course, I think we should start doing this stuff kind of thing more again of like
Yeah. Yeah.
weirdo things that we find. Like
Yeah.
I got to get back to that more, at least myself. I
Yeah, I
I
was
kind of
actually,
miss doing
yeah, I
that.
was thinking the same. It's kind of it was nice, kind of dessert, kind of palate cleansing thing. You're served
Yeah.
like nice sorbet to cleanse your palate after this rich meal. I think there was also an image that went with it that got lost
Yeah.
in migration. So yeah, it's just very kind of very interesting, nerdy stuff, just fun fact. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, I guess with that, that's the word cloud. That's the retrospective we have. Like, I think we're keeping some things in our pockets for the 5 year
Oh yeah,
thing
yeah,
too.
another big
Um,
one.
there's
Yeah,
another big one coming up in November. Now that I can see the date here, I can remember it's
yeah,
November time frame for a 5 year anniversary, so to speak. And we've got some other things cooking for that that'll be even cooler. But I will share this with the world so people can do this. Again, all like two of you who bother to do this, here it is for you. Um, and with that being said, I guess back to you, Yelena.
yeah, yeah. Awesome. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching. And as we hope you join us for the celebration of 100th issue of newsletter. So make sure to subscribe to get it in your inbox ahead of everyone else. And yeah, I hoping for at least 100 more. Yeah, so
Yeah,
Paul.
and actually, maybe celebrate by buying us some coffee in the buy us some
Yeah,
coffee
that
link.
that that would be pretty awesome, I
Celebrate
think.
by throwing money at us,
Yeah,
please.
otherwise there will not be 100 more issues, guys, because honestly,
Now we're
yeah,
like, now we have like a gun to the head of the newsletter, and we're saying, if you want more, you better
yeah,
donate some coffee. Yeah,
yeah, it's, and
Mhm.
we're just humans, so we need to be fed or
Yeah,
and drinking coffee as well. So
yeah.
so so thank you so much everyone for watching, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.
Bye bye.